Welcome into the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line chat line. Starting line counseling. Get a free 15-minute consultation with Chase today. Or at least you can sign up for one at startinglinecounseling.com. Chase is a two-time graduate of Texas Tech.
Two times.
More than 10 years in the business. And we'll take care of you. We also are in the Diversified Lenders studio. Carson, how are you? It's been a week. It's been 7 days. Lots has happened.
Yeah, there's a ton that's happened. And I wish I could have got on earlier this week, but now my opinions get to be spoken out loud other than in my head. So
we were going through the rundown of the show, the extensive pre-show meeting, as Ryan Hyatt used to say.
You and me both, Robbie. We were both good at the rundown meeting before the show.
And you mentioned that Florida State got screwed. So get it off your chest, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if all the committee wants is to put the teams in that they think deserve to be in there, that's cool. Say that. Like, say Florida State isn't as good as Texas, isn't as good as Alabama, isn't as good. And you can't complain about Alabama because they beat Georgia, who they said was the number one team going into the week. I think Alabama should be in. Now, the team that I think Florida State got jumped over and shouldn't have is Texas. And that has nothing to do with me not being a Texas Longhorn fan, maybe a little bit. But Florida State went 13-0. You can only win the games in front of you that they give to you. They beat a Louisville team who's ranked in the top 10. They were ranked in the top 15 in the country going into the ACC championship, and you beat them with a third-string quarterback. You didn't have your first or your second-string quarterback playing in an ACC championship game. You win with your third-string quarterback, which if you can do that, if you can go into an ACC championship game and do that against a pretty solid Louisville team, who, by the way, picked up a commitment from Tyler Shuck this week as well, I think that's well-deserving of being in the college football playoff over a Texas team who was 12-1, lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma wasn't even there in their conference championship. They lost to Oklahoma State, who wasn't even ranked in the top 15, and Texas beats them and then jumps Florida State. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, especially with what the committee told us is why they chose Texas and Alabama over Florida State is because Florida State's starting quarterback was hurt and they don't think their offense is good enough. Listen, Florida State's defense, other than Georgia, is one of the best defenses in the country, and Iowa's. So you can't tell me that Florida State didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff more so than Texas did because they, first of all, they beat everybody on their schedule. Texas did not. That's pretty much what you have to go off of. Yeah. I mean, and Texas's lone big-time win was against Alabama. They don't have any other key marquee wins on the season.
That's
Florida State beat LSU, Clemson, and Louisville.
Big 12 then.
No, the Big 12. The Big 12 wasn't that great of a league this year. Can we say that?
Moving forward, are they?
Moving forward, are they a great league? I mean, you lose Texas and Oklahoma, not as good as you used to be, obviously.
Okay.
I think you can be good, but it's going to take a few years to figure out who the top players are, and you've got to. I think you have to have that name on the front of the jersey mean something at the end of the day to be a big time conference. And losing two of the blue bloods of the sport, it doesn't help the conference.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that the conference is going to tank because those two teams aren't in it either.
Here's what I decided long ago about the college football playoff. It's an invitational.
Yeah.
They invite who they want to invite. They did it again this year. Why anyone is surprised by anything that the playoff committee does in a year is beyond me. Florida State deserved it. There were 6 teams that deserved it with Georgia. They should have expanded the playoff. You know who halted that? Who halted the expansion? No. We can generally blame things on Texas, but it wasn't Texas this time.
Yeah, I was just throwing it out there.
It was the ACC.
Yeah.
Florida State, you played yourself. You screwed yourself. You should have not done that dumbass alliance. That's why you're not in the playoff. That's as simple as that. It should be a 12-team playoff this year. The ACC slow played it and didn't allow the playoff to expand early because they wanted assurances that they were going to get automatic qualifiers. You know who didn't automatically qualify this year?
The ACC
Florida
champion.
State.
The undefeated ACC
So,
champion. Yeah.
to me, suck it, Florida State. You shouldn't have dicked around. Go join a real league. Come join the Big 12.
That'd
Go
be
to
cool.
the SEC, whatever you want to do. But the ACC is dead now. Just like the Pac-12 was dead when they didn't get champions in. It's over for them. Move on. We could have had a 12-team playoff 2 years ago. You decided against it. We could have had it last year. You decided against it. So welcome to the party. You got screwed. The Big 12's been screwed. The only league that hasn't been screwed, the SEC. They're in bed with the ESPN. They make the playoff. Who's surprised? Nobody. We'll move on.
Yeah, I was just surprised Texas got in over Florida State. That's what I'm saying. Do I think Texas is a better football team than Florida State right now? Yeah, I do.
Right now, they're beating everybody by 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Texas very easily could end up being the national champions this year.
Which is scary. It's frustrating.
Yeah, very.
For a Texas Tech fan.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, it's not just that; it's the fact that they're on their way out. And now, granted, you made this point last week. Well, if they win a national championship, the Big 12 gets to say, "Hey, another national champion under our belt."
Yep.
And you know good and well the Texas fans will be on Twitter if they win a national title, saying, "Oh, this isn't a Big 12 title. We're an SEC school now." No, not yet, Pards. Not yet.
National champions in the last 30 years from the Big 12.
Oklahoma, Texas. Yeah, that's it. Nebraska didn't win one because they lost. They lost to Miami, didn't they? They lost to Miami in the
97.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. 30 years. 93 would be 30 years. 93 to 2023.
Well, I was just saying.
Did Nebraska? I think Nebraska did win. Yeah,
it's close. They're on the cusp. They won some in the 90s, but I think it's just Oklahoma and Texas. 2000 and 2000. When did Oklahoma win theirs? Well, now I'm all screwed up. Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah, Oklahoma won Josh Heupel's senior year. Yeah,
I think so.
So that would have been 2000, 2002, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Right after Mike Leach left.
Yeah.
Let's see. Moving on. More college football. On. Let's just knock these college football topics out. You mentioned Tyler Shuck going to the Louisville Cardinals.
I like that for him.
You like the fit? You like the fit?
I like the fit for him because you're talking about a guy who's going to go play for Brom, who was a great quarterback at Louisville. I think Tyler Shuck needs a place where he is just going to be the guy, and he will be the guy next year, I think, at Louisville. Plus, he's got it's more of a pro-style offense, which Tyler Shuck is more of a pro-style quarterback than a spread-it-out, toss-it, fling-it around, air raid type quarterback, I think. So I think it's a good fit for Tyler Shuck. Yeah, I especially like the fact that he's not going to another Big 12 school, which he had a few offers, and it looked like he might end up at another Big 12 school. But I like that he picked Louisville. I think it's a good pick for him.
Yeah, UCF didn't make sense.
Yeah, UCF didn't make sense. Neither did Kansas State. Some people were saying that Kansas State wanted Tyler Shuck to go. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
So, I like the Louisville thing for Tyler Shuck especially. I think he's gonna be just fine in the ACC. And Louisville has a chance to win the ACC next year because they got a bunch of dudes back. And they were in an ACC championship game this year. So good for him. Pick a winner and go be a winner.
Non-conference for Louisville next year. Austin Peay, Jacksonville State, Notre Dame, Kentucky.
I mean, two of those are wins. Austin Peay and Jacksonville State. Of course, Jacksonville State's not a FCS school anymore. They're a Conference USA team and pretty good. Hey, head man over there, Rich Rodriguez, he knows how to beat Louisville.
Conference schedule: Boston College, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Miami, Pitt, SMU. Weird. Stanford, weird.
An old American athletic rivalry right there, SMU and Louisville.
Yeah.
And Louisville's, they were in the American for 1 year, 2 years, and then they went to the ACC? Or did they go from the Big East straight to the ACC?
Yeah, I
I thought Louisville might have been in the American a year.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Either way, yeah.
The starting line, chat line, talking about violated federal communications. I don't know about that. It's an invitational. But the Georgia Florida State, speaking of football topics, the Georgia Florida State game might not happen because they're protesting the playoff. Did you see this?
Florida State is? No, I've not seen that. I figured that something like this might come out. Like they're going to go to the Florida State Senate and try to sue the College Football Playoff Committee.
Ron DeSantis is messing around.
Yeah.
If Mike,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did actually put litigation towards the College Football Playoff Committee. Not that it's going to change before the College Football Playoff starts and whoever wins the national title is going to be the national championship. Now, listen, I don't think Florida State would have won the national championship. I want to put that out right now. But I also think that Georgia should have got in over Texas as well.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia and Alabama are two of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, if anybody really, really got snubbed, I think Georgia did. Yeah. Now, Kirby Smart said, you know what, we controlled our own destiny and we didn't take care of business, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, Georgia's still one of the top 4 football teams in the country, in my mind.
Back to the transfer portal. You also got a quarterback here at Texas Tech, Cam Brown.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of film, watched a game of his, a couple of drives. He's really fast.
Mm-hmm.
He can throw to the sideline, so that's a good fit here at Texas Tech. Seems like an athlete. I don't know. His stats don't scream off the page. 54% completion. I think it was 10 touchdowns to 6 interceptions or something like that. But he ran for a bunch of yards and touchdowns. Was the freshman of the year in his conference.
Division II conference. So he's a Division II guy.
If you bring him in solely as a gimmick player and you put him on the field year one, I like it. If he just comes in and sits around, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like a walk-on, preferred walk-on. He'll get his $25,000, and that's a great move for the kid.
And if he is just a guy who's going to come and not play, then why would he have chosen Texas Tech if they didn't already tell him, hey, man, look at what we did with Donovan Smith? And Roy said it, too, in the comments.
B1 offer.
Is he the new Dogovan, I'm assuming? I would assume that's going to be what you see him in his role. Obviously, quarterback depth is a big thing, too. You want to have a couple more options other than a freshman or a redshirt freshman in Jackson Strong and Jake Strong, and then a true freshman in Will Hammond that's coming in as well. But so it'd be nice to have another guy in the quarterback room that's played. And University of West Georgia is a really good Division II school. They're fighting their way into being an FCS school in the next couple of years, I believe. So that program is got money. I'm trying to think who the defensive back was that we got from West Georgia a few years back. He was on the staff as a grad assistant a few years ago as well. I can't remember. He was a defensive back. Anyways, Tevin Madison. There you go. He transferred from Texas Tech. Transferred from Texas Tech to UWG. Back to University of West Georgia. That's what it was. Yeah. But anyways, you look at the kids.
He's playing games against Valdosta State. I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah, it's hard to tell. He's not playing against Division I, Power 5 defensive backs.
Yeah. Here's a good question from Lubbock Yanero about the transfer portal. Why are we losing wide receivers in mass exodus? Who's going to be able to play in the bowl game? Your likely starters next year are all going to play in the bowl game.
Yeah. Koyakin, you're going to have Tharp and those guys.
Brady Boyd.
Yeah, but they're tight ends. They count.
Brady Boyd.
Yeah.
Dre McCray. And all those guys. Jordan Brown. Those 4 guys are all still in there. And then you have some young guys, Kelby Valson and the like. Let me just read the receivers that are in the transfer portal. J.J. Sparkman, Loic Fungi, and I saw Loic Fungi might still play in the bowl game, and
Yeah, that's what I was told
might
too.
stay, might
I
swing
think
after all.
yeah, he put his name in the transfer portal, and it's one of those deals where I think a lot of these guys they put their name in the transfer portal, but they're not. They're going to see what's out there, but they're not automatically just saying, I'm leaving.
So
That's
J.J.
I think
Sparkman,
Loic's one of those guys.
Loic Fungi, Miles Price, and Duran Bradley, and Nehemiah Martinez.
Yeah,
Some of
Nehemiah
those guys
Martinez
aren't
didn't
on
get a
this
lot of
list.
PT this year.
None of them did, except Miles Price.
No.
I mean, this is a
Yeah.
why are these guys leaving? This is going to tank the team. Sparkman and Fungi had 10 catches together.
Combined. Yeah, I was going to say combined. Yeah. And JJ Sparkman was not. He wasn't a factor.
Yeah, Duran Bradley.
Yeah.
Just
moments
against Kansas.
He had moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
He didn't produce. And this is a year after he didn't produce much and then was just huge in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
Why did Bradley, Sparkman, and Fungi disappear during the regular season? They weren't hurt, were they? I thought those guys were supposed to be the future. Well, they're all juniors and seniors. The future. They were supposed to be the present. They didn't hack it. So they're leaving. Did the wide receivers leave because they were not going to play next year? Or do you think it also reflects on Kitley's system and the fact they went out? Well, if Kitley's system is so bad, why is the number one wide receiver in Texas committing to it? The number one player, period, in Texas.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Is period in Texas. I don't read too much into the guys that are leaving. Like I don't.
You had a bad wide receiver room. Hey, Carson, you had a bad wide receiver room, and they're leaving, and you're replacing them with better players.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not.
I would love for Loic Fungi to come back, but those guys didn't produce.
He's the only one.
They weren't open.
Yeah,
they weren't open.
Well, and JJ Sparkman wasn't going to. They were going to transition him towards the tight end role if he stayed. So that's probably another reason why he didn't want to stay. Yeah.
Yes. Go play.
Yeah.
Why are guys leaving? Because they want to play. Miles Price, by the way, has had 2 offers that I've seen on Twitter that he deleted. Neither of them Power 5.
Yeah, none of them.
Neither of them Power 5.
They're lower tier group of 5 too.
Well, one of them.
One of them's an American athletic team, I guess, but the other one's in the Conference USA, which might as well be an FCS conference. Pretty much is. It's a bunch of FCS schools that came to play in FBS this year.
And look, I have issues with Zach Kitley's system. I have said this. I have been on record. But I don't think all of these wide receivers are, oh man, these coaches suck. I'm leaving to go get good coaching. No, Miles Price was here for 5 years, and he returned last year knowing what the deal was.
Yeah.
And Miles Price is going to go play college football, I guess, as a super senior somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up at North Texas next year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that was one of his offers. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by, I forgot they're in the American Athletic Conference. But
there's a pipeline. Trey Cleveland went there last. Now Cleveland's back in the portal.
Is he really back in the portal?
Back in the portal.
He was one of their top 4 receivers this year.
Yeah.
Of course, their top receiver, Macklin, he's in the portal, and I hope Texas Tech's going after him.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the best playmakers out there.
I'll just say this. If you measure talent year over year, I would assume you're more talented next year than you were this year at wide receiver.
That's fair. Well, your talent gets a lot better when you add a kid like a Micah Hudson, who he's a game changer. He's a game breaker. He's Jackson Smith and Jigba, those kind of guys that have – Smith and Jigba went to Ohio State and changed it. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the same way. I don't know. I'm not saying that Micah Hudson's going to be like – those are lofty expectations for a dude to be like that, but I'm saying he has the ability to be a guy like that.
Yeah.
You just got to put the ball in his hands. Let him go make plays.
Another good question. Where do you find a punter in the portal? We have a freshman coming in, gonna be hard to replace McNamara.
Yeah, it's hard to replace a
McNamara
first-team All-American. Yeah.
got screwed again on the AP Big 12 list, was not the punter listed. That guy's been screwed more in season-ending lists. He should be the All Big 12 punter 4 years in a row.
Fact.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know where you get a punter. You don't punt much, so I don't know that you need an All Big 12 punter. Maybe that was the problem for McNamara. He didn't have the volume this year.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I think you'll have a punter on the roster next year.
There will be a punter in town.
Barron,
I mean,
Barron
and you might go get a junior college kid too. Somebody like the Australian guy that we had a few years back from Snow Junior College.
I don't know who will punt in the bowl game. I guess McNamara will be around.
McNamara will be around. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Can we get Manjack from the portal? If you're talking Houston wide receivers, I would prefer Matthew Golden. I think I saw him in the portal.
Yeah, Matthew Golden's a good player. I just don't know that he's going to want to come to Texas Tech. He's going to have a little bit more option for him. Macklin, on the other hand, the North Texas transfer, I think Texas Tech is a great fit for a guy like that. He started his career at Missouri, ended up at North Texas, had a great couple of years at North Texas. He's one of the top gets, I would say, in the receiver group. If you're Texas Tech and Coach Juice going after him, I think that would be who I would nail down if I could nail anybody down off the bat. But yeah, those are two good options. I don't have any other problem with the other option either.
Yeah. What else? The offensive line. You got a couple offensive linemen in there.
Yeah, Monroe Mills. Who cares?
Yeah, Monroe Mills is going to go to another. That's the one transfer right now that I would guarantee gets another Power 5 opportunity.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him
Dran Bradley probably off of reputation, probably get another Power 5 opportunity.
Well, and Loic Fungee probably will too. I could see him going to Louisville with Tyler Shuck.
He went in year 4 and just hasn't produced.
Yeah. Such high expectations for him this year too. I know I was very high hopes for Loic Fungee just because he has the ability to go be that guy, but you also have to have a way to get open, and quarterback play was below average this year, I would say.
Well, it was injured.
And a lot of that had to do with injuries, obviously.
Low average and injured.
And Loic Fungee is a deep ball route runner. He's not that guy who can catch a tunnel screen and going to go get you tons of yards. He's a guy that runs really good routes, and he can get behind the defense. But if you don't have enough time and you don't have the arm strength to throw it, Loic Fungee is a non-existent guy on your offense. That's the facts of the facts.
All those receivers were recruited for a Yost offense, and then Yost left, and you don't have the same offensive system. You're trying to get open in the middle of the field, and you're trying to take sideline passes athletically around some DBs, and you couldn't do that this year. You didn't have the juice athletically at wide receiver.
Yeah.
What else we're going to talk about? Any other football topics we need to get to? The bowl game. You're playing 6-6 Cal with a lot of guys in the transfer portal as well. So I don't know. I think a lot of defensive guys have jumped in the portal. And Spavital, as we talked about last week,
Jake.
before we knew that we were going to be playing Cal in the bowl game, is at Baylor. Oh, one more offensive coordinator move has made. Jeff Grimes will replace Ketelecki.
Yeah.
Or however you say it. I'm glad I don't have to say that name anymore. At Kansas. What do you think about
Kansas,
that?
Yeah. I think Jeff Grimes is a great offensive coordinator. I don't know. I think that Kansas underperformed. One, because their offensive line wasn't great. Like, they didn't have a great offensive line. Kind of looked like Texas Tech, bunch of ragtag group there for a little bit. But You didn't have your first string quarterback. Jalen Daniels makes a big difference over
They're 7-5.
Jason Bean
I don't know
or
if they underperformed.
whoever. Yeah, they're 7-5. I don't think that's a terrible record. I think Kansas in-house, they had higher expectations, but they dealt with some injuries at the quarterback position this year as well. Ended up playing a true freshman. So, yeah, I think Jeff Grimes can go in there if Jalen Daniels isn't in the transfer portal. I haven't seen him go in the transfer portal. Have you?
No,
So I
I think he re-upped at Kansas.
yeah, so I think he'll be back. He'll be recovered from his injury. A quarterback like that in a Jeff Grimes offense usually works. So
Be the best
um,
quarterback he's had since Zach Wilson.
yeah, very easily could be.
He's
I don't know that he has the.
better
I
than
don't know
Jerry
that he has
Bohannon.
the arm. That's true. That's a fact. He's
Better
in
than
the
Blake
transfer
Shapen.
portal. Yeah, Gary Bohannon's in the transfer
I
portal.
mean, he's better than Blake Shapen and Jerry Bohannon, right?
Yeah,
Jalen Daniels,
Jalen Daniels. Yeah, he's better than them.
right? Yeah, so he's the best quarterback since Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he doesn't have the arm talent Zach Wilson had, but I think he's got more athleticism and more of a quarterback intangibles than Zach Wilson. Now, Zach Wilson in college was an animal. He was really good at BYU.
And
He's not very good in the
offense was
NFL, but
rolling.
yeah, they were. I mean, yeah, those were some fun BYU teams to watch, and Jeff Grimes was a big reason because of that. Because you had a quarterback who could dissect a defense. You had the wide receivers. Gunnar Romney was one of those guys. Yeah, just some really good wide receiving groups that BYU had.
What a pull! I would not have
But
remembered it.
yeah, I just yeah, and I'm sure Alan Corbin has more insight on it too because he was around that area a lot more. But BYU fans, I don't think they enjoyed whenever he left. Let's put it that way.
Kansas has 2 players in the portal:
Just two? Who? Nobody's?
an unranked wide receiver and a tight end I've never heard of.
Yeah, so nobody's.
That's crazy.
Greg chimed in on the starting line chat line. In his honest opinion, still believes the offensive line is underachieved for a number of years, and it all starts there. No doubt about it. The receivers just didn't make plays when they had a chance and then hurt QBs. It doesn't help. The offensive line, we thought this year was your deepest that you've had in years past. The talent we thought wasn't as good as what you want it to be, but you had depth. And you could try and move things. And I think whenever they did switch the center and the guard with Rusty Stats going to play guard, I think that worked out a little bit better. You saw it be better late in the season. Now against Texas, it was dreadful. But Texas defensive line might be one of the top. They are the top 3 defensive lines in the country. So, yeah, it starts up front, obviously. I mean, that's just a cliche thing, but you've got some offensive line recruits coming in. I don't know that you want to play them right away, but the transfer portal's lit with offensive linemen and interior offensive linemen. So I think you'll see at least 2 to 3 guys, offensive lineman wise, signing or committing to Texas Tech through the transfer portal, to be honest.
Yeah, if you could get 2 Power 5 transfers somehow out of the portal, that'd be awesome. I said this with quarterback a couple of years ago. Play Donovan Smith, play Baron Morton. Just go with the young guys so you're not screwed the year after without experience.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just go for it with the offensive line.
Just let the young guys play.
Just start playing these sophomores.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a learning curve? Yes. But if you recruited well, then Caden Carr should be your starting guard or tackle or center. And Sheridan Wilson should play. And these guys that have been around the program for 3 years now should be on the roster and playing. Is what it is. I think that would be good. Ted. Hey, Carson, Louisville was in the AAC for 1 year with
there we go.
Eddie Bridgewater in 2013.
I knew they were in the American for 1 year.
That's like
because they were in that limbo. The ACC was still trying to get rid of Maryland and who left the ACC and went to the Big Ten?
Maryland and
Well, Rutgers they were in the Big East. I can't. Anyway, they let Maryland leave, and then Louisville slid into their position. Yeah.
Do we have any coaches on the way out? I haven't heard any firm news on anyone. Kind of surprised DeRuyter hasn't been snatched up by someone. DeRuyter allegedly was in the mix at USC. I don't know how firm that was, but they've hired Dan Lynn, or however you say his first name. Some guy. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I mean, for DeRuyter's part, he doesn't want to be a head coach, and he's a defensive coordinator at a Power 5 school, and he's able to, in this coaching scenario where he's under Joey McGuire, DeRuyter gets to control every single bit of what that defense does.
He's making
he oversees everything. He's one of the highest paid assistants in the Big 12, maybe in the country. I haven't looked at the numbers in the country, but I know he is part of one of the top 3 or 4 paid assistants in the whole conference, as far as coordinators go. But I don't know that he wants to go somewhere else and have to rebuild something and turn it into his own, versus here at Texas Tech, he's kind of been able to build his defense the way he wants it to. And now with the recruiting classes, for sure, the last couple of years, he's definitely building that defense like he wants. And, you lose guys like Jalen Hutchings and Tony Bradford. That's big for a guy like Tim DeRuyter, who they didn't obviously come in with him, but they bought into everything Tim DeRuyter has said and wants to do. And I just don't know there's a lot of head coaches today that don't want to have like their hands on everything. Joey McGuire lets Tim DeRuyter be Tim DeRuyter. Like, he just lets him do what he wants, basically, with a little bit of a leash on him to, Joey can pull him back if he doesn't like something. But Tim DeRuyter's got a perfect setup here at Texas Tech as being the defensive coordinator, because he gets to run what he wants to run. He doesn't have a head coach in his ear saying, hey man, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it my way. You're going to be a defensive coordinator, but you're going to do the things my way. Joey McGuire is the general manager of his football team. He's the face of it, everything else, but he lets his coordinators coordinate, which is a dream for an offensive or a defensive coordinator. It's literally a dream for the head coach to do what he does best, which is general manage, fill the roster, put butts in seats, be the head front, the face that everybody sees whenever you fail, and all those things. It's just, I think that it's a perfect position for Tim DeRuyter, and I think he enjoys being here in Lubbock, to be honest with you. So I don't know that he's just out there just searching for any job he wants.
I also wouldn't be surprised if he left.
No, I agree. He's a great.
That's how college coaching goes, and if somebody it's how college goes. Period. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he's leaving this year.
No.
And if USC or A&M, one of them back, or one of those schools, there are a lot of schools out there that could outpay Texas Tech, or at least have the opportunity to, or try to, if they wanted DeRuyter. Because honestly, if he's doing that at Texas Tech, imagine what he could do here. Texas Tech hadn't had defense in 20 years, so.
You've had the last 2 years, you've had one of your 2 best defenses that you've had since Mike Leach took over.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah.
Points per game wise, 2009. Your best defenses the last 2 seasons. And, of course, the offenses have changed. I understand that, especially in the Big 12. There were a couple of years there where the top defense in the league was giving up 30 a game.
Yeah, it was getting to be a little crazy. The shootouts in the Big 12 were 65-60, kind of like the TCU Tech game was that year when Dotson caught the ball in the back of the end zone.
Oh, West Virginia Baylor.
West Virginia Baylor
or something crazy.
Yeah, Texas Tech and Oklahoma that year, where Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes just kept scoring at will.
Yeah,
and Joe Mixon could do whatever he wanted on the ground. Those days of the Big 12 are a little bit gone. I think Iowa State can be to blame for changing it a little bit with that cloud defense, the cloud 9.
Yeah.
I think that they came up with this strategy that helped defend against those spread teams from scoring a ton of points, keeping everything underneath you. And then everybody else just started running a hybrid of what Iowa State was doing, which the highest form of flattery is imitation, right? That's what they say. So if it works for one team, a lot of teams are going to pick it up. just like the spread offense. Everybody saw that it started working. There's big dividends to be paid in spreading the defense out wide and then running it between the tackles still. You see almost every single team in the country does that. Or at least some version of that. They can say they're a run-centric team. Air Force, Army, and Navy, they all have shotgun spread formations as well, and they do it a lot more than they used to. So, the game has changed, but Tim DeRuyter's defenses here at Texas Tech the last couple of years have been pretty solid, and the defense used to lose you football games. They have not lost you a football game since DeRuyter's been on campus. I don't feel like they have anyways.
I'd have to go back and look, I think, on that. There was a blitz there in Wyoming that.
Yeah, that one and you're a split second away from getting home and winning the football game.
But you don't score for 45 minutes in that game.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Yeah, you're up 17-0. The defense plays pretty well.
Yeah.
And then you can't score anymore. That's not on the defense, especially when you keep going 3 and out and they're right back on the field.
Okay. Let's move on from college football. We could talk about the bowl game coming up.
Yeah.
We'll have more on that
and
week.
Bowl practice. There's a question: how is bowl practice going? I assume it's going pretty well. They had a Baron Morton interview on a Double T 97.3 this week. He sounded like he was confident. He was enjoying the practices. I don't know if Will Hammond and Micah Hudson are in practice or not. I don't believe they are, but yeah.
They had a picture of Baron Morton throwing in practice. That's the first time he's thrown in practice since
the West Virginia week before West Virginia. Yeah.
So
yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Let's move on to Major League Baseball. I know most people don't care about this, but you and I do. There's a big signing this week, or a trade. Juan Soto to the Yankees. They get Verdugo, and the Yankees get Juan Soto back-to-back.
The Verdugo trade was crazier to me.
Because it was with the Red Sox?
Yeah.
I don't know any of the names involved with that Juan Soto trade.
No, they're all prospects.
But when you look at the reactions, you'll see, Yankees fleeced, Padres fleeced, Yankees fleeced. So who knows who's going to win that one? You don't know. You know, in 10 years, if one of those prospects is a future Hall of Famer, we'll know then. But Juan Soto, young and in the mix there for the Yankees now, if he can stay healthy, because the Yankees have trouble with that over the last 5 years. And then, allegedly, there are theories, Carson, that Shohei Ohtani is signing today, and all signs point toward him playing in his third country, with Canada being his next home.
Toronto.
Allegedly.
That is a dark horse right there. I never would have even thought Toronto was on the board for Shohei Ohtani.
It was Cubs. It was Rangers. Really is all I saw.
Yeah.
And then I think Toronto. Now, this is all coming out right now.
Right.
That allegedly he's going to sign today. But it's been about a week that these Toronto rumors have been floating. So I think there's some smoke to the fire there.
1 hour ago, Shohei Ohtani to sign with Toronto Blue. This article is from the Los Angeles Times. Shohei Ohtani to sign with Toronto Blue Jays over Los Angeles Dodgers, says the source.
Allegedly.
That is a crazy development that he would go to Toronto.
Now, the Rangers, as starter, just says have pulled out allegedly. They've also allegedly pulled out of Jordan Montgomery because we're poor again.
Yeah.
Because the TV deal is so up in the air. They're leaving Bally. Bally's screwed them. They're leaving Bally, but with no option locked in after you leave Bally. you don't have money to go sign Jordan Montgomery, who's been better than Aaron Nola in the last 3 years. And Aaron Nola got $175 million. I don't think Jordan Montgomery is going to command that, but you don't have $150 million for a 3-year deal.
No, you definitely don't. Not anymore. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the baseball business works because without salary caps, without anything, it's how much can each organization afford, right? It's who's got the deepest pockets. Obviously, the Yankees can afford everybody they want.
Yeah. There's a luxury tax. You're right up
there is a luxury tax, right? But there's no cap. Right. So you get to choose and pick how much you want to pay guys and who you want to pay and all those things in Major League Baseball. And how the players on the other hand, sometimes it works to your benefit that there's no cap room, especially if you're a player like Shohei Ohtani, because you're about to make a $500 million just to sign your name on a piece of paper. I don't know that the Rangers can't afford Ohtani or Jordan Montgomery. I just think they're being a little stingy with what they can and what they want to afford right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because if you pay Jordan Montgomery all this money and he turns out to be the Jordan Montgomery that had a 5.89 ERA and a close to 1.8 whip, those things,
right,
then you've totally screwed yourself and you've screwed the pooch on any other free agent that could be a possibility down the road. You don't want to be locked into a contract with a guy who had a great fall, had a great end of the year, but is he going to be that guy for the next 4 years? It's hard to say, and that's why I think you're not seeing the Rangers paying him a ton of money because he hasn't been that consistent in his career. He wasn't technically, if we're being honest, he wasn't great in St. Louis this year.
Right.
He was just really good when he came to Texas.
Now, allegedly, the Rangers are still in. I've said allegedly a bunch because I have no idea, but they're still the favorites for Jordan Montgomery. But I just don't see that deal happening if it hasn't happened already. So Jordan Montgomery's had a sub-4 ERA since 2021. Was not very good or did not pitch much from 2018 to 2020 with various injuries. But he's got at least 30 starts in 4 seasons since 2021. Has pitched with the Yankees, St. Louis, and Texas in that time, and has just been all right. And then he was dominant for Texas. But again, as you said, is he going to be that guy? Well, he sure enjoyed pitching in the Rangers Stadium.
Yeah.
In Globe Life. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It just depends on what he's willing to give up and what the Rangers are willing to give him. You know what I mean? Like, if he's going to sign with the Rangers, Jordan Montgomery is going to have to take some concessions on the price a little bit, I would say. But the Rangers are still going to have to figure out if he's worth the money that he's going to require to spend, because he's not going to be cheap, but I don't think you should just overpay him either, because that's the same thing that kind of happened with Martin Perez, and look what he did this year. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that you want to pay $150 million to Jordan Montgomery for 3 years.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he should get that much money from the Texas Rangers. If he wants to go somewhere else and get it, cool. But you need some more consistency out of the dude. You're going to get starts. There's no problem about that.
Yeah.
But can he be a number 3 in a rotation? I don't know.
Do you know who's out there?
Who's out where?
Do you know who's out there to sign?
Who's that?
Your boy. Marcus Stroman.
Oh, Marcus Stroman, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thank you.
Still available. Lubbock Gennaro, if you sign Will Smith, you win a World Series. He's 3 for 3. Braves, Astros, Rangers.
He tried to not let you in the playoffs with how bad he was down the stretch.
He tried his damnedest to not be in the playoffs at all.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out.
Worked out for him. He gets another World Series ring.
Yeah.
Even though he had, what was his ERA in the playoffs, really bad too.
He locked it in late.
I would, if I was Will Smith, I'd probably just hang it up. He's got to be in his mid-30s. How old is Will Smith?
Let me see.
Get on your Googly. Yeah, I mean, speaking of free agency and all that stuff in baseball, he's 34. That's what I thought. Yeah, young man. Younger than you and me, which is crazy. Yeah, you're not 35 yet. That's right.
No,
not yet. But yeah, I don't know. And the TV deal, the Bally stuff. Ever since Fox Sports sold out to Bally, it's been a cluster. So
yeah,
I'm glad they're getting rid of that. I don't know what's going to happen with the TV deal or any of that, but eventually they'll have the money back in their pockets to do something with. But I don't know that I would go out and pay Jordan Montgomery $150 million because he's not a spring chicken either.
Yeah.
Looking at his stats.
Yeah, he's not been good.
No.
He pitched. He didn't pitch for the Astros in the World Series.
Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just got a ring. And then he pitched in one game in the World Series for the Braves.
One game that year? That was it? Oh, man. Freddie Freeman.
It's crazy.
Before Freddie bounced to LA?
Before.
There's a guy that and he won't be up for free agency. I don't know. He signed a 10-year deal with the Dodgers at one. But there's a guy, Freddie Freeman. So he won't be a free agent again, but man, he's the kind of guy that if you put in that Texas Rangers lineup, I could do without Nathaniel Lowe in the lineup if Freddie Freeman was your first baseman. That's for sure.
I'm a big fan of Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Lowe, Silver Slugger, Golden Glove, back to back. You're trying to push out Nathaniel Lowe? There's a podcast. Yeah. There's a podcast that has been calling him Nathaniel Lau that I've been seeing, and it kills me every time. And nobody corrects him.
Yeah, that burns. There is a guy that plays with his brother with the last name Lau, right, but spelled the exact same, just pronounced differently. Two different. I'm not opposing it. I think Nathaniel Lowe is a good first baseman, but if you gave me the choice of trading him for Freddie Freeman, I'd trade Nathaniel Lowe for Freddie Freeman in a heartbeat.
No,
in a heartbeat. Even though Freddie Freeman's on his last leg of his career, and Nathaniel Lowe's just kind of getting to the middle of it, but.
That would be pretty incredible for Will Smith to be signed by someone, and then they win the World Series, and he wins 4 in a row with 4 different teams.
Did he pitch for the Dodgers when they won the World Series during COVID? Was he on that roster?
No. Braves, Astros, Rangers.
Rangers. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And then he pitched in the playoffs with the Giants.
That's right.
16.
Yeah. Bruce Bochy guy.
Big Bruce Bochy guy. That's why they signed him this year.
Yeah. That's another thing is just Bruce Bochy. How long does he stay for the Rangers? Come back in your first year out of retirement and win a World Series. If that's not Hall of Fame stuff, I don't know what is. I really don't. On a team that won, 70, 80 games last year? How many games they win last year?
Yeah, something like that.
They were below 500, yeah?
Yeah.
So, and to take a team like that in 1 year without a couple of the guys that you signed these massive contracts to before the year and who you thought was going to be your number one, Martin Perez, who you thought was going to be as good as he was the year before, he was not good this year. Doing it and then you got great rookie representation from Josh Young and I want to, Heim's not a rookie, but he might as well be. He hadn't played a full year behind the plate and been a starter every single day his whole career. So I don't know. Bruce Bochy seems to be the glue that keeps this thing running. If they're willing to do something, I think he's the only guy who could have convinced Shohei Ohtani to come to Texas, but it doesn't look like that's even on the list anymore. So,
one more transfer portal note, and then I want to talk about something I saw this week as it relates to college football. Several offensive linemen, the top FCS offensive lineman, I think, is taking a visit this week to Texas Tech.
yeah, Montana State kid.
There's a kid from Memphis named Mac Pounder. Great.
Big Mac Pounder.
Big Mac Pounder. That I would love to have as a Texas Tech
that's awesome.
I just you have offensive linemen. I don't know that I love the FCS route, but if he's the best FCS guy, I mean, bring him
and Montana State is a
right. It's not
pretty good football
FCS
team.
Is not the same. Yeah, I know.
We're talking about a team in Montana State who's ranked number 2 in the country. They're in the FCS semifinals. They're playing Montana this week, which is I would love to go to Bozeman, Montana, and watch that game because there's going to be so many fans there. That's the kind of football I want to see. There's going to be snow piled up on the end zones.
Yeah. And this kid's in the portal?
Yeah.
They're still playing?
Yeah.
Don't take him.
He's a graduate. He's still playing.
Oh, but he's taking a visit this week.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's not playing.
If you're in the portal, you're not playing.
That's crazy to me.
A Texas kid jumped in the portal this week. What the hell are you doing? Playing the playoffs, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't care if you're 7th on the bench. Jump in the portal after the playoffs. Why would you miss that opportunity? I don't understand. Unless you're not on the travel team. But
yeah,
surely you are.
Oh wait, Montana State lost to North Dakota State last week. Okay. I thought they won.
Right. There we go.
So there you go. So he is in the transfer portal because they are done. They lost 35-34.
All North Dakota I saw a thing. I think it was Reddit College Football put this out, but I think there's some steam behind this. Maybe he already got his bowl gifts. Maybe so. The guy I was talking about was Catalon from Texas, the safety. Arkansas started at Arkansas, and then he played at Texas this year. Now he's out in the portal again.
Huh.
Maybe he hates the SEC. I don't know.
Who knows?
But there's this idea that when a player makes a play, you put his Venmo up on the big screen, the Jumbotron, and let people pay him just right there after a big play. I hate it.
Where was this at?
It's been floated just on the internet. I don't like it. I hate it, actually.
So they're saying if a guy...
It was in response to the NCAA president saying that schools and universities need to pay players. And you have to create the $30,000 a player threshold to get into the big boy subdivision or whatever. Whatever the NCAA president, that was the letter this week. It was dumb too, but now they're gonna start. It's like have you seen Black Mirror?
Mm-mm.
It's a show about technology and how it's gonna ruin the world. Basically, most of it's a little horror-esque thriller anthropology series, but it is wild that you would want to put somebody's Venmo up on the screen after a touchdown. It just doesn't make sense to me.
That's crazy. Well, and the fact that
it might be the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Here's my thing is, Deion Sanders, he does it where their practice jerseys have their whatever their screen name is on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Have you seen that on the back of their practice jersey? He did this at Jackson State too.
Yeah.
He's doing it at Colorado now.
I
think those types of that's where I'm getting to. Those types of ways are the perfect way to get a kid's platform pushed out. Now, if you're doing it that way, where the guy that scores a touchdown, there's only a select few dudes who score all year long.
Right.
So the offensive linemen, the 5 big boys in the middle, the 5 big uglies, ain't getting any pub. They're not getting nothing. Here's what you could do. You could put your starting lineup on the scoreboard and have everybody's whatever names on the sides. Then you can do that. But still, to me, that's like a beggar holding a can out on the street and saying, "Hey, man, these guys are playing, but they need your money."
I think all money paid to players should go through either the university or the Matador Club. And I think Texas Tech does it right now. I think everybody should emulate Texas Tech. It's bad news trying to do it any other way.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Ohio State boosters offering Marvin Harrison Jr. tons of money to stay another year? What should he do? And will we start seeing players stay? Marvin Harrison Jr. should go.
Well, he's going to be a top five draft pick in the first round.
But Tosh Brooks, if Texas Tech wants to pay him, I don't know, $1 million to come back,
I wouldn't shake my head.
I think Tosh Brooks would stay.
I agree.
So, or $2 million, whatever you want to say there. There's a level. If you're a first round NFL draft pick, you go to the NFL draft
because you're going to make a lot more money in signing your name.
Well, there's an extra year involved in your contract as well, especially if you're a top 10 pick.
Yeah, you get 6 years.
There's options and all that. If you're a top 10 pick and you know you're a top 10 pick, there's no reason to come back to college. Yeah. Zero reason. If you're a third round pick,
now we're starting to get into territory where you're starting to think about it.
If you might be undrafted, if you're a fourth, fifth, sixth round pick, yeah, I think so. And I think we've already seen it in basketball. 10 years ago, Kevin McCullough's gone after his sophomore year and he's playing overseas.
Mm-hmm. Or in the G League.
Terrence Shannon Jr. 10 years ago, he's not in the G League. He's overseas.
Yeah, true.
Terrence Shannon Jr. is in Europe 20 years ago immediately, or trying to be in the NBA. There's no chance those guys are still in college. Fardaws Amac is not in America.
No, he's playing overseas for sure.
Checks overseas.
Yeah.
These guys are already staying in college basketball longer and longer. But it's not those top 5 players. People thought that NIL was going to kill college basketball. I think NIL has saved college basketball.
I think the NIL has saved college sports.
You're getting a lot. Well, it remains to be seen in football. But you're getting a lot of retention in college basketball. Maybe not on the same team because the transfer portal is still there. But in college basketball, you're getting a lot more seniors playing, in my opinion, over the last 3 years. So it is what it is. Marvin Harrison, no, should not return. But, I mean, if somebody wanted to buy Duran Bradley to stay, if Georgia wanted to pay Taj Brooks, who had 1 billion broken tackles, and they said, hey, you did that at Texas Tech. I wonder what you could do here. We'll give you $2 million to come. I think Taj Brooks should stay in college and transfer. And there's options here, right?
Yeah.
Brooks is what, a 4th or 5th round pick, most likely. I don't know. That's hard to say. It's hard to say because he doesn't have, NFL speed. He certainly broke a ton of tackles. I think he fits in the NFL, but I don't know that he would get drafted automatically in the 4th round. I think he probably gets drafted. I thought SaRodorick Thompson had a chance to be drafted, but he went undrafted, right? And then he got signed by the Seahawks.
Yeah, by the Seahawks, yeah.
So I think Taj Brooks would get an opportunity next year, but I don't think it's guaranteed. No.
I don't think
running backs are weird, man.
Yeah, and especially with what NFL scouts think translates to their level. Like, what Taj Brooks does in college doesn't translate as well to the next level because interior defensive linemen in the NFL, they hardly miss. If they get their paws on you, they ain't going to miss a whole lot. And so you're not just going to bounce off the first level and get to the second level. And NFL linebackers are stupid good too. And it's just the game's faster. Does he have the speed to be an NFL running back? Does he have the strength to be an NFL running back? I think he does, but he's not a guy that can tote it 25 times a game in the NFL.
Well, I don't know that there are those guys anymore anyways. You don't really have that. He's an elite pass blocker. Well, Derrick Henry's he's an elite pass blocker.
Freak.
Could Taj Brooks get drafted in the 5th round? Yes. Would a 5th round contract this year be any better for Taj Brooks than a 5th round contract next year? I don't know. And you talk about the length of playing for a running back. He's getting older, right? Running backs have a certain amount of tread on their tires. I think the average age in the NFL retirement for a running back is like 25 because guys just don't last. I'll say this too. NIL money's guaranteed. NFL money's not.
That's especially when you're a rookie. It's not. And you're talking about making rookie incentives, and especially as a 4th or 5th rounder. If you're on the roster, you're making league minimum, which is probably way less than what his NIL possibilities could be if he came back. Just saying, like league minimum is what, around 400, 600,000, somewhere in there. Which I know people are like, oh yeah, it's nothing to shake your hand. He gets to play a game for $600,000, but not all of that is guaranteed either. That's your point, Rob, is NIL money, guaranteed money. Now there may be some incentives in there that, obviously you have to do some community service and do these things and show up to events and do all that stuff, but you can't get hurt doing those things. Right. You can't get hurt going to, an old person's home and signing autographs. You can't get hurt, doing those kinds of things. You can get hurt on a football field. You can get hurt in OTAs and mini camp and all those things as a rookie when you're trying to get a spot on the roster and you're giving everything you got in a practice. That's dangerous for a guy, man. It really is. And if you fail at that and you get hurt for some reason and you can no longer play football, that money that you thought you were about to make is no longer in existence in the NFL. None of that is guaranteed. So, maybe a quarter of that, what your salary is guaranteed up to a point. So it's a catch-22 deal. Now the NIL deal would only be for another year, obviously, but
right.
If you can make that for a year and improve your draft stock, why would you not think about
that? Can we do an incentive? No, you can't do incentives in the NIL.
No, not in NIL.
You can't.
Secretly, you can, but
no. Well, you can do $100 handshake, but you can't do. You can't do it. If you break 6 tackles in this game, we'll give you an extra $10,000. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, there's no incentives in the NIL contracts.
It's a certain amount of money. The only incentive, I guess, is doing more community service. I don't know how that works.
I don't know that would be an incentive.
But if Taj Brooks, well, the cash incentive,
right.
If you do 6 more hours, you get $6,000,
6,000 more. Yeah.
The first pick in the 5th round of the NFL draft gets a 4-year, $3.5 million deal. Basically.
And how much of that is guaranteed?
And then it's sharply down after that. $600,000 a year.
Yeah.
So that is what it is.
Again, the NFL, the only sports league in the world that doesn't give you guaranteed money. It's the most dangerous sport in all of professional sports.
Yeah.
In the NFL.
Rookie contracts are probably pretty well guaranteed.
But what happens if they cut you? They still owe you that money? Like, they're not going to give you that money if you don't play in the games. I think I'm sure, and everyone's a little bit different, I'm sure, but there's a caveat to you have to play in this amount of games, or you have to be on the roster for this amount of games.
Yeah.
To earn your full paycheck. Basically, is how it works. It's not like baseball where you sign a contract, you're making that money. Ask Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah.
You're making that money whether you perform well or retire the next day. Now, there are some stipulations in contracts that say, if I sign you to a 10-year deal and you retire in 2 years just because you think you're going to get all this money, that's a way that the clubs can get out of the contract, obviously. But if you're playing, everything is automatically given to you. If that team decides that they no longer want your services around, they still owe you what is left on that contract, unless you have a trade with another team and they pick up the contract or they pick up your waivers. So that's the difference in MLB and the NFL, the NHL, the NBA. Now the NHL and the NBA both have salary caps,
Right.
but all their contracts are pretty much guaranteed with incentives involved in those. The NFL is more of an incentive contract than it is guaranteed contract.
Did you see Deion Sanders guaranteeing a CFP berth out of the Big 12 next year?
It ain't going to be his team.
Oh, that's what he was saying, that they were going to make it next year in the Big 12.
No, not unless they find a lot better of an offensive line and a lot better of a defense.
They got the number one offensive lineman in high school to commit there, 5-star this week. He'll have to play immediately.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? If he doesn't, he's transferring. Now, they did lose a commitment from a top quarterback from IMG Academy, I believe.
They lost a bunch of commitments.
Yeah, the last couple weeks.
I want to go look at their high school recruiting here. I think they have 10 guys, maybe 9.
I'm on 247 right now. But yeah, Deion, if there's a team coming out of the Big 12 next year into the college football playoff of those 12 teams, it's going to be Kansas State or probably Oklahoma State. Maybe those are the only 2 teams I can think of. I don't know that. I mean, Arizona had a great year this year. Arizona's in a perfect place. They got Fafita, the quarterback, is only a redshirt freshman. He'll be back next year. Joe Fisher is a fantastic coach.
They've got a top 30 class, and they're second in the Big 12 right now with 12 commits. 11 commits. That's insane.
That is insane.
2 4-stars and a 5-star. And their class is way up there, right behind Texas Tech.
I mean, and Deion's going to have that effect. Now, whether or not those guys are all sticking around and agree with the culture after they get there is a different story. So, and I'm not saying I don't know anything about Deion and his coaching style. I mean, we just see what we see on TV. I've never been in a locker room with the guy.
Bunch of people leaving.
But yeah, there's a ton of dudes leaving, and I'm not talking about guys that weren't playing. I'm talking about some guys that were playing this year, are leaving and skipping town and not coming back. So, and Shador didn't even play in their last game of the season because he didn't want to get him hurt. If you don't have an offensive line, Rob, if you don't have a defense that's very good, you're not going to win a lot of football games. And if you can't win a lot of football games, sorry to say, Deion, but you ain't in the football playoff. And they're going to lose more than 5 games next year. I think 7-5 is their ceiling next year. He's still a couple years away from getting this thing righted in Colorado. The days of the Cordell Stewarts and running the flex bone and the wing tee and the option and all that stuff are gone.
Yeah.
When Colorado's in its prime. Those days are see you later. Eric Bieniemy and all those guys. Colorado is not that type of program anymore. Let's put it that way. Now, those were fun teams to watch. Cordell Stewart, one of my favorite college quarterbacks that I got to watch play. But yeah, I don't know that Deion. He talks a lot and he's very confident in what he has, and I think a coach has to do that. If you're not saying that, then you're not confident in the kids in your locker room. And if you lose that, then what do you have as a head coach? But yeah, Colorado ain't making the college football playoff anytime soon.
I think if we learned anything this year, though, that head coaches to just shut up about things like that and just
when things don't run through your place, and
yeah, go play your games.
I miss the days of the Spike Dykes. Spike was a man of very few words, but when he needed to get a point across, he would, and when he had nothing good to say, he just didn't say anything.
Yeah, he didn't talk all off season either. He just talked about the games.
Yeah. And granted, today's day and age, we didn't have Twitter and all those things back when Spike was coaching and Barry Switzer was at Oklahoma and the all the heyday of college football. What you had in those days, and really just think if you had Twitter back in the days when Miami was doing what they were doing with Jimmy Johnson and all those guys and against Notre Dame, the Catholics versus convicts, how crazy college football was then. And how crazy back then it would have been if they would have had the Twitters and Instagram and everybody following you and doing, finding out what you're doing. They wouldn't have been able to do the things they were doing back in the 80s and all those times right now. That's for sure. And people talk about NIL and how much it's changing the game. Well, before that, NIL was going on. It just wasn't official and it wasn't legal. Now it's legal for boosters to come in and say, we want to pay people. We're going to help you out, coach. We're going to bring this guy in. Colorado's got to get on the bandwagon of their NIL stuff. I don't know that they're even close to where Texas Tech is in the NIL game, to be honest with you. So, and Houston's going to be the same way. Willie Fritz is going to have to find, other ways of getting donors and things like that, because Fertitta is one guy. He can't fund a whole athletic program, and he can't do all that by himself. Now he's trying, but you got to have a little bit more buy-in than all of that. So, I don't think Deion's anywhere near being where he thinks he is, to be honest with you.
Joey McGuire, this is from Don Williams. This is the final point I have. If you have anything else, we can talk about it.
Oh yeah, Utah, Tad. That's a good point too. I forgot Utah's coming in the comments.
Joey McGuire said Sunday he expects Texas Tech to sign 6 to 10 players from the transfer portal. He has given now a breakdown of position. 3 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, already has 1. 1 at each receiver, defensive tackle and corner, and then 1 best available, possibly edge guy.
Oh, you're talking about what he wants in transfers?
Out of the transfer portal, yeah.
Yeah. I like that list.
3 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, 1 at each receiver position, a defensive tackle, a corner, and then a best available. Go get it, baby.
Go get it. I mean, yeah. In best available. Now, listen, just because they signed Cameron Brown as a quarterback and signed as he committed, he's a preferred walk-on through the transfer portal. It's not a scholarship given to him yet. So I would not be surprised if you see another quarterback coming out of the transfer portal and committing to Texas Tech. Just don't be shocked if you see something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to going after. I mean, best available, Cam Ward, in my mind, is the best available quarterback in the transfer portal right now.
I would be surprised. I don't think you're going to outbid Ohio State for Cam Ward.
No, and that's why, and I think that's a lot of why Kyle McCord is in the transfer portal already for Ohio State as well. He entered into the transfer portal after the Michigan game. So
he didn't fit Ohio State.
No, he's a pocket passer.
They went 11-1 and they hammered him all year.
Yeah, he wasn't very good. And he had moments where he was really good, but Marvin Harrison Jr. can make you look good in moments too. He's just that much of a big time player. But McCord wasn't the style quarterback that you think when you think Ohio State. He just wasn't the guy who's athletic, who can go pick up a first down with his legs. Let's put it this way. You went from CJ Stroud to Kyle McCord. That's night and day. CJ Stroud is up here. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. CJ Stroud is. He very easily, and we talked about this last week, how good the Texans are going to be for years to come if they keep Stroud in position to where he's at and keep putting an offensive line around him that can compete.
Right.
That's the difference in what McCord, and that's what Ohio State wants. And Cam Ward in that scenario fits. He is I'm not going to say he's CJ Stroud 2.0 because I don't think he's better than CJ Stroud, but he's the same prototypical guys, CJ Stroud, JT Barrett, those kind of guys. Where the lone guy that we've seen over the last few years that Ohio State, and this was with Urban Meyer as the head coach, but Cardell Jones was the only guy that was more of a pocket presence than a runner, but Cardell Jones could still go pick up stuff with his legs as well.
Yeah. I mean, they had Blake Bell, Belldozer packages for
Cardell Jones. Yeah. So, Kyle McCord's a guy in the transfer portal. I think he ends up at like a Wake Forest or a Pitt. Pitt needs a quarterback. He's a Pennsylvania kid. You could see Kyle McCord ending up at Pittsburgh or somewhere like that, at Penn State. Maybe he fits the Penn State offense well. Nebraska. That's what Penn State wants. Yeah, Nebraska.
I would not go to Penn State if I was him.
James Franklin just hired who did he hire last week? As an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
He hired somebody. I cannot now off the top of my head. I can't remember.
The Kansas offensive coordinator.
Yes, the Kansas offensive coordinator. Yeah. So,
and if they want to run a quarterback, he doesn't fit there. If they want a Jalen Daniels type, a Jason Bean type per se.
No.
Okay. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, just the basketball news sucks for Cambridge.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
But yeah, and then I want to talk about my most favorite college football game of the entire year is Saturday.
You taking the under?
Yeah, give me the under. But yeah, go Army, beat Navy, because we got a West Texas boy balling out for the Black Knights.
Both teams 5-6.
Yeah, whoever wins is going to a bowl game. Whoever loses, staying home.
All the bowl games are listed, right?
How do they know? I think whoever wins this game goes to the military, one of the military bowls.
The Armed Forces Bowl?
Yeah, the Armed Forces Bowl. And whoever loses doesn't. So I think that's how they've played it.
Air Force is already in the Armed Forces Bowl.
What about the whatever the other? There's two Armed Forces Bowls. Like, they're not both called the Armed Forces Bowl, obviously, but it's a great question. I can't remember. Anyway, one of them's played or used to be played. I don't know if it still is. It's played at Navy Stadium. And then the Armed Forces Bowl is played at Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, also known as the home to the TCU Horned Frogs.
The First Responders Bowl?
Sure.
No, that's the SMU game.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see.
Because you can't have them both accepting, bids to bowl games. If one of them's 5-7, then what are they going to do?
I don't know, but Selection Sunday was last Sunday, so I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is I think that they, and I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just off the top of my head without looking at anything, is that whatever bowl game is there waiting for whoever wins this game, they both accepted the invite, but whoever wins is in, whoever loses is out, basically is how I feel like it's going to go. Does that make sense? Like, there's a spot that's filled by one team. They're just waiting to see if they're playing Army or Navy.
I know what you're saying. I just don't know that that's true.
Well, yeah, no, I don't either. I'm trying to look it up, but. And they're playing at Gillette Stadium this year. It's not in Philadelphia. Playing in New England. Let's see.
I don't see Army or Navy in the bowl selections.
Wow. Okay, so neither one of them are going to a bowl?
Seems like it. This is their bowl.
That's crazy. Now, obviously,
they're both 5-6.
Yeah. I don't think either one of them mind not going to a bowl game, because to end with the Army Navy game. That's
the Commander in Chief trophy. They get the Armed Forces Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. Because Air
Maybe
Force won
Air
the
Force already
CIC this year. Yeah. Yeah.
So Air Force already clinched in there, and that's what it is. They're in the Armed Forces Bowl.
Yeah.
So there you go. But if Army wins, can they clinch it?
No, because they lost to Air Force. Air Force beat Army and Navy, I believe.
Well, there you go. So Air Force made the bowl, and they're playing James Madison. So there it is.
Oh, James Madison did get a bowl game.
And Jackson State. Yeah.
Wow. Or maybe James Madison's in it and Navy or Army, whoever wins, takes their spot. I don't know.
Maybe Jacksonville State plays Louisiana on December 16th.
Oh no, Army beat Air Force 23-3.
So if Army wins,
Navy beat Air Force as well.
See, this is what happens, Lubbock-Yanero.
Yeah.
Carson just talks sometimes like he knows what's happening. Now he's confident. He's a con man.
I just said I think Navy and Army got beat by Air Force. That's why I wasn't sure, so I'm looking it up. But yeah, they both beat. Oh no, Navy lost to Air Force. Okay, I was right on one of them.
I think if Army wins, they win the. I think I saw that this week.
Okay, yeah, Army's riding a 3-game winning streak right now. They lost to UMass. Ugh, that's a bad one. And then beat Air Force, Holy Cross, and Coastal Carolina to round out the regular season until they find this one. So, yeah,
go Army, beat Navy.
Yeah, go Army, beat Navy. Go Bryson Daly. If you don't know who that is, he was the youngster from Abernathy. That's where he's from. He's a starting quarterback for Army. So, Bryson, look for Bryson to have a big day. It'd be cool to see him have a big day on CBS, on national stage, where no other game is going on but Army Navy. That's why, and you can't not love the Army Navy game, right? Like,
right.
If you have any blood coursing through your veins, you watch the Army Navy game and you don't really care who wins. It's just the game is, and I know that the offenses aren't flashy, they're not fun. They're hand the ball off and run the triple option and let's get 3 yards here and there, and then maybe bust a big play after a while. But it's such a fun game to watch. The pregame is my favorite part, and then the post game is the best part of college athletics. Post game is awesome. And yeah, it's my favorite football game of the year, to be honest with you. If I had a top 5 list of sporting events that I could go to before I die, now one of them's already off the list, the Red River rivalry. Got to go to that, even though I don't like either of the teams. I think it's the top 3 college football rivalries there are. You got Army Navy number 1, Michigan Ohio State number 2, and Texas Oklahoma is number 3. Now the Iron Bowl is pretty close to the number 4, but yeah, I would if you could do 4 of those games before you die, Army Navy would be right at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, Air Force lost to Army, so it'll be a tie in the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. I don't know how they figure that out. I mean, it can't be the first time that's happened, right?
No.
But Air Force would be Air Force would be 1-1. Army would be 1-1 if they lose. So if Army wins, then they're 2-0 against the Service Academy, so they would win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Yeah. There you go. And then if they lose, then everybody's 1-1. And who gets the trophy? We don't know. I don't know how they figure that out.
Air Force gets it.
Yeah, Air Force gets it.
Well, they're in the bowl, so.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. Go Army, beat Navy. Cambridge sucks, but it happens.
You burn the red shirt of
Kyron Lindsey.
It's
nice to have him.
Yeah. It was nice to see Kerwin Walton play really good against Omaha. It's Omaha, but still. It's nice to see him shoot it the way he shot it.
Absolutely.
So, doesn't matter who you're playing, you got to get shots to drop, and he got them to drop. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm ready for tomorrow to watch Army Navy.
Let's do it.
Oh, and congrats if Mitchell's. I don't know if Mitchell Lee's in here today, but his Albany Lions are in the state championship game again this year. They won last night over Sunray. So congrats to
Yes. Big win.
Mitchell's hometown. Yeah.
Who's the Albany coach?
Speedy Faith. Or Denny Faith.
Denny Faith.
Yeah, Denny. Speedy's his,
Speedy's
was his. Yeah. Yeah, Denny Faith. Yeah.
Denny Faith. Yeah, there you go. Lovington, New Mexico. Born and bred.
Yep.
All right.
Just like Mark Bro.
Just like Mark Bro. Let's ride in the sunset. There. We went half as long as last week.
Yeah, we didn't have a 3-hour show
No.
this week.
All right. Bye.
All right. See ya. Peace.